system, basically you've become the monarch of every trust associated with Ron Davenport. The issue of revocation of signatures becomes irrelevant, yeah?
Oh, okay.
Because once you stand up and you've got the public proof, once you can prove on the public record that you are in fact the general executor of the Ron Davenport estate, it's irrelevant, yeah? And they can fight till the cows come home about, yeah, but you signed it as trustee. Once you're general executive, great. What I did in the past is what I did in the past. This is what I am today. Yeah?
Oh, okay. So you don't think they'll go back and hold us to the mistaken identity being trustee on previous documents?
No, you're the executor, and general executor has time transport. So you can go back and if they want to do that, then you deal with it. If that is their pathetic excuse, then you can deal with it as it's raised. But I would not presume that to start with. Yeah?
Okay. Then
General executor, nunc pro tunc. A general executor now as then can use time travel to go and correct any mistake. Yeah?
Okay.
From the beginning. So you've got that as a reserve power, Ron, but I'd keep that powder dry.
I know. And I was going to use this particular document, the deed poll, also along with the EIN and a Form 56. So there's no doubt that I was appointed by the Divine Creator this position.
I think, see how it fits, but the one thing we've got to be careful of, and again, it's our training. Don't go duck hunting with a bazooka. Yeah.
Well, you might get more birds.
You might get yourself as well, Ron. And I think that's the problem. Yeah. Is just be careful that you don't do too much. Yeah.
Right.
There's a risk of doing too much. And I come back to one of the things. I think everything we've done and all the documents associated with UCADIA have always been done with the absolute intent of being clear and honourable. But in their system, remember, we're dealing with people who are in deep mental illness. Don't ever give them a reason to dishonour their role.
Right.
So if they see something from the IRS and that's all they see, then in most cases that is more than enough proof to tell them that they've got real problems. I mean, do you want to go over the top? Then you get into the risk that as you add more, you actually diminish. Yeah?
Right.
That's my only concern in trying to do too much.
Oh, I'm not doing too much.
Yeah.
I don't like typing.
Good on you, Ron.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you for that, Frank. All right. Next, we've got Sigma B56. Hello.
Good evening. Hi, Frank.
Hi.
All right, this is Wade. I sent you a couple of emails, and just to be on the lookout for them. One was about a future topic. Getting back to the signature that you talked about earlier.
Yeah.
What about a person who is possibly stopped on the side of the road for whatever reason, presented a ticket? Would it, as long as you didn't feel threatened? What about signing that particular document as the Office of General Executor of the Estate of, and then the name, the legal name? Okay.
This is how I would, and this is not advice. This is just ideas. Yeah. This is how I would, if it was me, how I would handle things. First off, there's a section here in positive law that talks about the summons, because the ticket you're given is effectively a summons, yes? Well, it's more than a summons. It's a summons.
Right, contract, everything, yeah.
Yeah. So the section I'm referring to just right off the bat is under, where are we? It's too many. There's too many articles in positive law.
I'll find it. That's okay.
Yeah, but effectively we've got warrant under 290, and we've also got summons there, which I can't find. But okay, when you're dealing out in the road, okay, 306 it is, Article 306, okay, of positive law. We'll give you that background. The state troopers and the highway patrol now are trained, as are the sheriffs in these giant processing centres. They're trained to the point that if you even look sideways, they can use force. It's all presumption, but that's how they're trained. Because of that, I don't believe anyone should resist or get into any dialogue, should just simply deal with the situation as it stands. Later, I'm hoping we'll eventually get to the point with the right kind of identity card that makes point of who you are as General Executor and makes point of who they are on the identification. So there's no misunderstanding, because they are holding court effectively on the side of the road. My concern of you doing anything fancy on that ticket is the risk always of a rogue sheriff or a rogue state trooper or a rogue highway patrol policeman that wants to throw their weight around. And there's too much of it, and it's becoming worse. So all I would do is, as we mentioned under signing, is make clear that I put V full stop, C full stop on it, or 3 ellipse or something as clear as that on the ticket, and then deal with the ticket make a copy of it, and on the reverse do my rejection on the summons and send it in as a General Executor, yeah, without signing the back of it.
Okay.
Okay, that's the way I would handle it, and keep it real clean, keep it real simple. You know, these guys are now so image trained that if anyone even blinks at them, out comes the taser, and you know that, yeah?
Right. I'll look at warrants too. I think that's what the email I sent to you. They're getting these warrants without any probable cause, and then they're going in and they're doing a fishing expedition, looking for whatever they can find once they get there, without ever knowing anything's going on. Hey, got a tip from somebody or whatever.
Well, one of the things we're going to do, and I think this is important for people, is that if you're in a situation where you think that they're going to do these kinds of things, then you have every right, once you've established your position as executor, to send off to the local Secretary of State of the state a schedule of fees, yeah? And give notice, and you give it to the local sheriff as well, a schedule of fees. But they come round with a warrant without probable cause, that you will be issuing a bill to each and every one of the sheriffs, and each and every one of them come over, and they will be personally liable. Because if they execute a warrant without probable cause, and they don't recognise their role as a public servant, then they lose their immunity, yeah? Right. They're personally liable. You understand that, yes?
Right.
It's the same as someone invading your home. Once they breach probable cause, and once they fail to act in their duties of a public servant, then it's the same as someone coming and invading your home. They're basically acting as a private citizen, yeah? So we're going to have bills that you can just take and customise for yourself and have them ready. But if you're in a situation where you think that they could be issuing a warrant and doing a raid on your home, or you know people who are in that situation, it's best to cut it off at the pass, and at least once you've perfected your notice of being a General Executor, to give notice in your schedule of fees and say, this is what we'll be charging your people personally if they breach their duty as a public servant, they will be personally and privately liable for this as a fees. If they come and execute a warrant and they are really nothing more than a gang trying to kidnap and steal property, what's that worth? What's that worth? And let them know. Now, the best way to stop that kind of outrageous behaviour is to let them know that they can't do it anymore, but not wait for them to do it.
Right.
Does that make sense? Or
yeah, that's good. That's good. I'll get with you sometime. I have another. I don't want to hold the call up. I'd like to discuss with you someday about property tax.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks very much, and I hope those things cover a couple of those areas you
appreciate
raised.
it. Yeah. Have a good evening. Thanks a lot. Good call.
Thank you, Wade. All right, very good. Thank you, Frank, and thanks to Wade. All right. To get to a question from chat again real quick, there was a question and a statement made of someone speaking of the executor process and beneficiary. And I may not really need to repeat the man who had made the statements, but he states we are executor and beneficiary. So in Canon 2217 that we covered earlier, it states and shows that we are not. Who then is the beneficiary?
Okay, 2217 is...
we were under the estate article.
Yeah, it's not actually in the estate. I'm looking, it's a different one. I'm just having a look. It helps me to know that I can get to it so I can...
I thought it was under Article 90. No, maybe not.
No, it's not. It's... let me just have a look and see. 2217, I'm almost there. Okay, it's under signing. Okay, yeah.
Signing,
2217, right. You're both. You are the executor and you are the executor and the beneficiary, but you're wearing two hats. You're both, okay? And the difference is that when you are signing, you're signing as the executor. You're not signing as a beneficiary. There's a lot of stuff around in terms of the role of beneficiary, and weeding through it, there's been countless documents I've read where they say the beneficiary has, the real power, or the beneficiary is the key. The best way to view it is, let's call the beneficiary the shareholder and the executor the director. The shareholder has certain rights to hold a director and indeed an employees accountable. So it's the beneficiary that can issue a complaint. Yeah? They're not going to have a director issuing a complaint against themselves, right? That would not make sense. So the beneficiary has the right to issue a complaint. The beneficiary obviously receives any dividends. But other than that, the shareholder ends up being a bit of an invisible force in the day-to-day running of the company. So that's what to bear in mind. We're talking here in Canon 2217 and 2218 about functioning in the role and signing in the role of executor. So if there is any implication by this of saying that we are not the beneficiary, I didn't intend that to be the case. And when I've just looked at it again and reading it as I'm speaking, I don't believe we make any inference that you are not also the beneficiary of your estate. It's merely a distinction between how signatures are made. So, Terry, do you think that clears that up?
Well, I believe it really does help. But if you look at the fact that you're the heir, which is a beneficiary, so that you are getting, the benefits of the property, so to speak, in the person.
Like, I can be the shareholder of my own company and the director of my own company. Right. So we're merely talking here on how to behave as the director or the shareholder. it doesn't mean, in 2217 doesn't mean that it doesn't imply in any way that I'm not